Hey, Presley, Xander, you guys should swim for a couple more minutes, then come in here and get the puppies and let them run outside for a little bit yet before it's bedtime. What's happening, Mr. Timmy? How are you doing, my friend? Hey, Mr. Winchester, I'm ready to go chase some lake trout out on Big Green. When are we going to go? I'll give everybody just a minute or two here. Get everybody joined in here. I don't know about all you guys, but yeah, I'm in for that. Let's pick a day and just go, man. I'll pick you up. We can go to a couple different places and try that. I'm all in. I was beginning to say this heat, I'm ready for ice fishing. I'm watching my kids swim outside in the pond right now, and here it is, 8 o'clock and still darn near 90 degrees. And they got the smart thing, although I am sitting in front of the air conditioner, so it's pretty nice. I'm soaking wet. Just got done cleaning the boat, washing her down. A little tip for you guys. I know I did a video on it, I believe, last year, but anybody that's got, fiberglass boats are awesome, but even on the aluminum boats, painted aluminum boats, I don't know if you want to do it on bare aluminum, but get yourself some toilet bowl cleaner, mix it pretty good with some warm water, and just take a sponge and get the sponge all wet and just I usually pre-water or pre-spray it first just to knock any dust and stuff off, and spray her down, wipe it, and rinse it, and it looks like new, man. That's probably the easiest way to wash a boat and get rid of some hard water stains. I've kind of been lacking here the last few times out, not rinsing stuff down or washing the boat off. So she was pretty caked on there, but nonetheless, it's sparkly again and ready to go get her dirty again tomorrow. Anybody fish Battle on Bago this weekend? And if you did, how'd you do? Just curious to see what you guys think with all these weights. And Tim, please chime in if you've heard anything. It's I don't want to say it's bothering me, but I've been all over the system now. I don't troll, and I know guys are getting a lot of nice fish out in the mud flats and trolling some deeper water. I'm probably going to have to start looking at some of those spots and doing some of that. But, the jig bite has been so fantastic that, when I'm guiding, I'm not looking for giant fish. We're looking for eaters for the most part. And I'm pretty certain most people would rather set the hook and feel the bite than just, reel something in. But I understand there's people too that want to go out and learn how to troll, and I've got no problem teaching people. And, we had some fun today. Actually, we were on the upper lakes just with the wind and wanted to go check a few things out. And a couple of my first spots jigging, I think we had a 26 and a half, a bunch of 1920s, and a couple smaller ones as well, and some bigger catfish. I couldn't believe the catfish we got today, but a lot of fun today. I mean, and these people that I had out today, a great couple. They just moved out on Poigan here a few years ago, so they wanted to kind of learn some spots, and we went up in the river. Couldn't believe how many walleyes were up in the river yet. Did really well up there, and out on the lake, we got them jigging. We went up into some shallow water and tried doing some trolling to show them how planer boards worked. We caught fish doing that. So really everything we did today and every spot we went to, up in the river, Poigan, and down through Winneconne, had fish and decent fish. I mean, I think we only caught maybe a half a dozen of those 12, 13 inchers. But for the most part, everything was just big, really nice, good quality fish. I was surprised on some of the fish that I got today. Some of those 1920s were as skinny as a rail. They had no food in them. I don't know if they're just coming out of the river, or like what Tim said here. I truly believe that there's going to be a migration of bigger fish with all this warm weather. Lots of fish way upriver yet. And Tim, I seen that. I went upriver today, and we went upriver over the weekend to do a little boating with the family on Sunday on Father's Day, and couldn't help but watch my locator as I'm driving through a couple spots. I was like, holy cow, look at all those fish stacked up in there. The only thing they could really be are catfish or walleyes by looking at the marks. So with the wind today, we didn't have the best wind. It was southwest for a while. I was really backing up the current, and we really couldn't fish effectively the spots I wanted to try. But nonetheless, we dropped some jigs down, and we caught some really nice fish in the walleyes. We lost a couple of really dandies too. So I can believe that there's still quite a few fish coming down out of the river, and I can't believe how fast the current is and how high the water's got with all this rain. The Wolf River is in really good shape right now. Even Poigan, going along the rocks up by the mouth of the river, those things are only out of the water maybe a foot at most. I don't even know if the water was really that high this spring. So crazy conditions right now. Lots of fish. Like I say, everywhere we went, just marking a ton. And I did put the Mega Live down and watch some of the shallow water fish this morning as we were casting, and it was fun. I mean, there are a lot of fish in some of these spots, and should be good here for at least the next couple of weeks, I would think. Water temperature, I had 71 today out on Poigan, up in some of the shallows, but the wind was blowing so hard that it was really turning it up. And by midday, where we were fishing in the morning was so dirty that I don't know if you would have really had any fish see the baits, this afternoon. So hopefully that wind calms down, settles out, and we can get back up in there. But tomorrow I'm back out on Bago. I've got a gentleman that wants to go learn some weed fishing and kind of what we do in the weeds. So we're going to take him up out on Winnebago and go chase some fish around in the weeds. Maybe try some shallow rock spots as well. But hey, what's happening, Mr. Gilbertson? How's work, buddy? The conditions out on Winnebago, like we were talking earlier, the mud bite, the guys trolling are catching a lot of fish. I do know there's a lot of fish down on the south end. There are quite a few fish up on the north end. And you really just got to find that one pot and just keep working it. But I was surprised, when we were out there on Saturday, well, we were out there both days, but how the lack of boats that came up north on Saturday, the first day, we were out pretty early and was watching to kind of see where everybody went, and haven't even fishing up on the north end all week. Haven't really seen too many guys fishing. It seems like it's the same 15 to 20 boats up on the north end, and they're all trolling out from the outer bar or up near like Brighton Beach and kind of up in some of that shallow stuff. But I watch them pretty close, and I don't really see many nets going out, so I don't know if they're getting them or not. But not like I'm going to go chase them. I'm again, really don't do much trolling. Today I even forgot, I left the house and forgot to put my rod trees in because I knew, with the wind we might have to troll, and just goes to show that trolling really doesn't do much for me, and we are primarily jigging. So, good job to all the guys that finished well at Battle on Bago. Congrats to everybody. Well deserved. It's always one of the two most tournaments, or two biggest tournaments on the system, and it's always fun to see how everybody does, and quite a contrast in weights when it comes time to an actual live weigh-in versus the catch, record, release, the formulas. So don't get all hell bent on all those weights for Battle on Bago, because again, those are formulated weights off of length. Whereas Merck Nationals is actually you're weighing 5 fish, so little skewed. And same with all the like our Bago or Bago Walleye Club tournaments too. Those weights are a little skewed just by the formulations. So still great fish. A lot of big fish coming out of the mud this year. I think there's a really good year class out there, and should be a good couple of weeks yet moving forward. Lake really hasn't started to turn green yet. Little bit up in the shallows I'm noticing, but I still think we're a few weeks away. But this week here, with how warm it is definitely going to get some algae growing, and we'll start to get some of that green growing. The nice thing is once we get there, that only means one thing, and that's perch. That's kind of what a lot of guys are starting to message me about. Some guys are kind of getting burnt out on the walleyes, and they're starting to look for the perch. And we've picked up a few here and there, and everything has been fairly deep yet off some of the rock structures, 15, 16 feet of water. When I've had, if it's been like super calm out or conditions haven't been real good, we've been going out and chasing some of the fish out off the deeper edges and throwing some, big swim baits or, shiver minnows. And, we've been getting some bigger perch doing that. But no numbers yet. I've been scoping some of the edges and kind of looking for them. And even up in the weeds, I really haven't seen many perch yet. And once they come into the weeds, the way I fish anyway, I'll start picking them up quite a bit. And that's when I know that, they're ready to go, and just haven't really seen them. So hopefully, I always say 4th of July is kind of that magic date when the perch really get going. And then once that happens, then guys will really start going. And talking to a lot of the old timers that are out every morning, they're going by the launch and launching on the north end and checking around Garlic and Asylum and all the typical perch spots. And, these guys go out and they might have, 4 to 6, right now a day. Nobody's really setting the world on fire. So hang tight, guys. It's coming. Enjoy the walleye fishing while you can. It's pretty fantastic out there right now. Let's see. I was going to talk about something here. I wanted to kind of talk about line a little bit. I've been using that new Seagar PX8 line, that new JDM, that Japanese direct market stuff. That stuff, if you have not tried it, I strongly suggest ordering up a spool. You can go to like Omnia Tackle, like I think Tackle Warehouse, Fish USA, some of the online sites. The stuff is in very high demand. I can't even get it from Seagar. I've been trying, so I ordered a bunch offline as well. The SmackDown, we've been running SmackDown forever. That stuff is still really awesome. But when it comes time to finesse fishing in these weeds with really light tackle, we're going almost half the diameter is what, the 10-pound SmackDown is. So we're really able to cast a lot further. We're able to get our baits out a long ways. We're able to feel, every little thing. But the biggest thing is it's been so windy. And I notice, me fishing with the PX8 versus the SmackDown, how much more of a loop I get in my line when it blows that hard. The wind kind of makes that loop. And unless you're fishing straight behind the boat or directly into the wind or directly behind the wind, you lose a little bit of that feeling because you get all that slack in your line. And that PX8, that 10-pound, or I'm sorry, the 12-pound, has very, very little resistance to it. Just casting, rods side by side and hold them up in the air, just kind of watching. I'm able, even in a really good stiff wind, I'm able to pretty much keep a direct line or direct contact with my jig versus that even the 10-pound SmackDown has quite a bit of loop in it. So something to think about and try. We're always looking for that advantage, and talked to a lot of people that have ordered it, and a lot of people have messaged me about it and looking for recommendations on sizes and whatnot. And if you have any questions, please just shoot me a message. But for the most part, if you're doing any finesse fishing, that 12 pounds is equivalent to like a 1-pound diameter monofilament. Extremely thin stuff, very strong, very smooth, and just you can cast a mile and not have to worry about the resistance. So check it out. Otherwise, the SmackDown is still a great line. And then, fishing in the weeds here, I've been throwing the Tactics braid as well. Now, that braid isn't as smooth, but the nice thing about that stuff is it's almost like it's serrated. So when you're pulling through the weeds, the SmackDown braid and some of the the smooth braids, they'll glide over the top, but they get stuck a lot more. And with that Tactics braid, with that kind of serrated edge or that rougher edge, when you're ripping baits through, it really slices through the weeds a lot better than what this stuff does. It was kind of impressive, to really put it on and truly fish with it in some pretty thick weeds. And I noticed right away how much I was able to actually cut through the weeds versus getting hung up. So very inexpensive line. The Tactics braid is kind of that, I don't want to say the low end, but it's more of the price point stuff when, before you get into, SmackDown or the PX8. And then, if you're the musky guy or, pike guy and you're looking for something, absolutely bulletproof, take a look at the thread lock. The thread lock braid is like, man, it stuff's like Kevlar. I use it on all my catfish rods. I've got 120-pound thread lock on my catfish rods. And if I get a flathead that gets down into the trees, don't bother. I'm going to lift them out or the trees coming up with me. So the only thing I have to worry about there is if my rods can handle it. The line, I don't ever have to worry about breaking. So a lot of nice things, when everybody thinks about Seagar, a lot of people just think, that's Fluorocarbon Company. And they actually make probably some of the best braid on the market. Again, the SmackDown's been, pretty much the standard for everything I've done. All my rods are spooled up with. And then I'm using a Gold Label leader, which is really thin fluorocarbon, compared to its equivalency, compared to other brands, and even like the Red Label, Blue Label. Great stuff. But if you're just looking for that extra edge, being able to fish heavier line or a heavier pound line, but keep the diameters thinner or smaller, that Gold Label definitely takes the cake. So those are just a couple of the things. If you guys have questions, please shoot me a message, and I'll do whatever I can to get you some answers if I can't answer them myself. All right, so back to Winnebago. What's happening out there. The weed bite has been fantastic. If you're going to fish the weeds, we've been throwing, primarily just plastics. The 3/8 thumper jigs are still working, really good with the 4-inch scented jerk shads. Just ripping them through the weeds pretty hard, and the fish just absolutely inhale it. There's no question if you have a bite or not. It's either on or it's off. There's no tap. On the finicky days, if they're, you're watching them and they're just not eating, we've been, yep, that's it, man, right here. The turds, and let me grab a couple more. So another bait that works really well for guys, if you're using the 4-inch stuff, and I always tell people, and when we get a walleye on, guys will be like, "Oh yeah, I felt that." These walleyes are notorious on longer plastic baits. This happens to be a 2 3/4. These are the TRD ticklers. This is the Laguna shrimp color, pink color. But you can see a shorter profile. But when we've been fishing the 4-inch stuff, and let's say you get a walleye that comes in and grabs onto it, and you're reeling them in, you're fighting them, and then all of a sudden it feels like somebody slingshotted something away. Well, what these walleyes are doing, and it's crazy fishing with this Elastec, is when a walleye grabs onto it, if it misses the hook, this stuff can stretch. And as you're pulling them in, they're holding on, or it's getting caught in their teeth, and all of a sudden, boop, and you'll feel that, like almost somebody slingshotted that walleye away. And that's just them, letting go of the Elastec. So if you guys are getting bit short, just go down a size, go down to something 2 3/4 or 3-inch. The finesse TRDs, basically the same style bait. And depending on the day, when you look at a profile of either one of these, you've got one that just kind of wiggles around, bounces around, but then you got this guy here that's seems a little bit softer, and with the little fingers that are kind of floating around, just gives it a little bit more action, and sometimes drives the walleyes crazy. But you gotta experiment. You gotta throw everything around and see what works best. Play with some colors, and there's no wrong thing to do. That's the fun part about fishing, is you can experiment and try a bunch of new things. So that's kind of really what's been working, in the weeds, is throwing the jerk baits, and some of the swim baits, some of the paddlers. And then, when we get into the rocks, up into the really shallow rocks, I posted that video out. If you guys didn't get a chance to see that video I posted here last week on fishing the Ned rigs, it's a great full explanation of, what to look for, how to fish them, and, kind of like a 101 on fishing Neds. And what's nice about, the Winnebago system is we've got a lot of opportunities, north to south, east to west. Doesn't matter where you go. There's spots that you can fish a Ned rig, and anywhere you go, really, you can throw these things. And again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just go out and fish. But I will tell you, I know some other people that have been commenting here. I've been looking at some of the posts on some of the guys sharing some information. Is when you dissect a reef out on Winnebago, people look at a contour map, and they see the reef, let's say Garlic or Blackbird or wherever, and they go up and they just fish it. They don't look for anything really in particular. They just go and fish some rocks. I tell guys, or when we're out in the boat, I will go over, a reef multiple times before I'll even put my bow mount down and fish. And what I'm looking for on a reef out there is I'm looking for the big boulders, the big rocks, not all the small gravel and smaller rocks really tight together. I'm looking for big boulders, or a lot of the reefs will have like an inside corner, or a bowl with a gravel flat or a sand flat, and then big boulders around. I will figure out where that spot is, drive over it 10 times if I have to, mark it, and anchor up just above it so I can cast to it and get my baits right in the spot on the spot. That is probably the biggest tip I can tell you guys, when it comes time to getting these fish. And a lot of times, if I'm fishing a spot and I'm casting one way to it all the time, and we'll get 3, 4, 5 fish, and then it dies. I can still see fish on my Mega Live or on the 360 as I'm watching. I can see the fish kind of moving in and out. So then what I'll do is I'll go to the other side and make casts the opposite way, and we'll start picking them up again. And you can do that on so many different spots. Don't just give up on an area. Literally fish that spot forwards and backwards and sideways in every direction. And you'd be surprised on how those fish move in and out of that spot. These fish will fight for areas. And, when now with like the Mega Live and the live scopes and that, it's a lot more fun to watch because you'll see, and we watched it on Saturday. I was watching the guys. We had one spot. There were, 3 or 4 fish loaded up in this hole, big boulders. I'd watch the guy, sometimes I'd be able to watch the jig and watch the fish eat it. But what I was watching more than anything is the fish would get ripped out of there, and then there'd only be like 2 or 3, and we'd catch another one, then there'd be like 2. And then within a matter of like 5-6 minutes, all of a sudden you'd see 3 or 4 more would go and sit right back in that spot. And it was just amazing to watch. And that's what happens with these fish. These in spots where you're in a high traffic area and there's a lot of fish around, they will compete for, that spot on the spot for whatever reason. The current's just right. The bait fish are flowing through there, or there might be a current break or something that these fish are just going and sitting down inside in. And that's where the electronics really come in handy, is being able to watch that. What's up, bud?
My sister play electronics or play her phone.
No, you guys should, go turn on TV. You got any puppies out?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you should go grab one for me. I'll put it on TV.
One without a cover.
Sure. So, that's really just, my words of advice, guys, is really learn and start to pay attention and kind of watch the different rock piles that you're fishing. And take mental note, if you caught some fish someplace, figure out why, versus just go back and Jared had some ginger beer here for some mules, and Xander had found one of his ginger beers, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, this beer's made for redheads." And they took one out in the boat this weekend, and we had some funny pictures of him drinking a ginger beer. So non-alcoholic, of course. So we owed Jared a couple beers. So you just pay attention and kind of dissect, and and you'll just make yourself a better angler. That way, when you go to new spots or new lakes, you can kind of take a mental note and find spots that replicate what you're used to fishing on your home waters. I know it's a really big thing, and I learned this years and years ago from Tom Keenan up on Green Bay, fishing those big giant boulders. And a lot of times too, here's another kind of just a little tip. If you're casting on these rocks and you start picking up algae on your jigs or your baits, move. For whatever reason, these walleyes do not like those slimy green rocks. Anytime you got slimy green weeds or algae and stuff growing around on these rocks, seems like the walleyes aren't interested in that. They like to I don't know if they're picking bugs or picking crayfish or what out of these rocks. And the last thing they don't want is to, take a big gulp of slimy weed. So just another kind of tip to look for while you're out there moving around. Aha!
We got 2 of them for you.
Oh, this one is fine. Okay. Look at this guy.
Come on, show mine.
Oh, and then we got Slick Willie over here too. Look at guys, you're famous.
You're famous. I'm not famous yet.
So here are 2 of my little guys. We had a litter of pups. These are wire-haired griffins. Hi guys. You guys are on TV. Look at he's watching himself. And we have a few males left. If you know anybody that's interested.
4 males.
Yeah, I think there's 4 males left. We had a litter of 9. They will be ready to go around July 14th. That weekend. So
he's just staring into the camera.
Anybody's looking, let me know or send me a note. And we can set you up with one of these guys. Great dogs, great family dogs, great hunting dogs. They really don't shed. And the only thing really that you have to worry about is getting licked, and their beards grow, and they get water all over the place. But other than that, they are the most adorable guys you'll have. So I will miss them when they go away. Okay, say bye, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. See you, guy. Say bye.
Bye.
All right.
Why is Eli allowed to be on the gaming computer?
Because he was not all day, but he's going to get off here pretty soon too. So let's see. Now going back to what we're throwing when you get into some really aggressive bites. These scented jerk shads. These are the new size that they had this year. These are the 3.5s. A little bit smaller. This color here is called Hot Snakes. It's got some blue metal flake, like a dark top and a yellow belly. Kind of represents more of a perch. And again, I'm fishing these on a 3/8 ounce thumper jig from Northland, and just ripping the snot out of it. I don't think you can really rip it too hard. I don't think there is such a thing. And when you're ripping these things, they're darting through the weeds or over the tops of the rocks, and then they'll slide back down. And they either hit it as it's falling, or they'll usually pin it down to the rocks as soon as it hits the ground. Or if you're ripping it through the weeds, they key in on it and they attack it as it's going through. So they've got a 3.5 and then a 4-inch on the really big days. Are the days that they're just going crazy. I like to fish a little bit bigger profile bait. Just 1, because they can be seen, and 2, it tends to keep a lot of the smaller stuff off. So yeah, I mean, just great baits. Again, with that Elastec stuff, I mean, you can strap, these fish can grab onto them. You're not going to rip them. You're not going to go through a whole bunch of baits. Watch that video that I showed you. You're going to want to keep a bottle of super glue in the boat. With these jigs here, you got to make sure you put a little dab of super glue up on the hook to keep these things from rotating or pulling back. As far as hooking them, I've got a football head jig here. This is, Ned football head, but we'll kind of just show you, pretend it wasn't, pretend it was just a swim bait jig. The biggest thing is just to kind of eye up and line up where the hook is going to come out, and then take a mental note. And with this Elastec, it's very hard to get these things to get on perfectly straight, just because it's such a soft material. Here we're trying to get an idea here. So, once you kind of got it, I'll usually pinch the jig and take a mental note where, a metal flake or something is. And then we'll hook this guy on and bring it down through. All right. And then once you get this guy up, the biggest thing from there is to grab the plastic, give it a pinch, and slide it over the top of your worm or your keeper, your little barb keeper that you have on there. And that's really it. And then I'd put a dab of super glue up on the top, and that's your bait. Now, again, this is a Ned style football head, not the proper plastic to be using on it, but it would work. Again, you're just going to kind of hop that thing along the bottom, and there's no reason why even a scented jerk shad wouldn't work. The little 3.5s. Wouldn't work on a jig like that. That's a beautiful thing of fishing, right? There's no wrong, there's no right. It's all just, if it works, it works. There's, it's a beauty thing. Let's see, Pat, how are you hooking them? Yeah, that's how I'm hooking them. Again, you can kind of see they've got a little indentation, or like a little fine line on the top of the bait, and then on the bottom of the bait, depending on how you're ripping these things. If you're fishing them weedless, you've got a little pocket there to slide the hook into to keep them weedless. Just different styles of fishing. And then as far as Steve asked, how deep of water were you ripping on Poigan? I'm going to tell you right now, everything that I've been fishing has been 3 feet of water, or 2 to 3 feet of water. Whether it be on Bago or Poigan, I'm fishing extremely shallow. Haven't really, on days where it's like super calm and we're just not getting the bites up shallow, I've gone and fished and, throw a lot of heavier baits, bigger baits out over the deeper edges on some of the deeper rock piles, or, isolated, hard structure humps in the middle of the lake, over on the east shore, or down south further on some of those artificial reefs that are down south. So, but I haven't had to really travel far or do a whole lot of anything. The fish that I've been kind of concentrating on, these fish haven't moved, and they just keep reloading on a daily basis. Sometimes hourly they're reloading up. We'll go hit a spot or two, catch some fish. It'll kind of dry up, and then we'll move a couple 100 yards and catch a couple fish and go back to where we started, and fish will be right back there again. So if you find spots like that, just keep at it and keep ripping on them. Excuse me. Trolling today, we did, like I said, we did go out and trolled some stuff on Poigan, trolled some shallow rocky areas with that wind, and we were pulling some Salmo hornets, some purple colors. We pulled a couple flicker minnows and purple flash, and we got fish doing that as well. Lost a couple of decent fish, but most of the fish, even trolling, were going to be in that 16 to 18 range. Nothing real big, and I only made a pass just to kind of teach these guys and show these guys what trolling was all about with boards. And needless to say, I think they're going to be going and doing some shopping at Critters to buy some planer boards and some crankbaits and trolling rods, and get them all set up and ready to go for that. So, boy, other than that. That's really all I got. We got ICAST coming up here in July. I'm trying to get the guys, maybe one of the guys from Angling Buzz, if I can get Jacob on, kind of chat about some things that they got going on over there. I've got another video coming out with them, I believe the end of June. There's going to be a segment on strictly fishing plastics, swim baits, jerk baits, Ned rigs. There's going to be a whole piece specifically on that for walleyes. So that I know, myself and a few of the other guides, and I'm sure the Linders and those guys will be doing stuff. They got Z-Man. I work with Z-Man stuff. You guys all know that, but there's a lot of nice baits out there that have come out recently. Northland's got their eye candy. Rapala's got the Crush City stuff. So if you're really brand centric, don't be stuck just on one brand. If you got something that you like and you got a company that you want to support, feel free to go and try some other stuff. Pretty much everybody now has kind of moved towards this elastic style baits, this real stretchy stuff. That's kind of what all the new stuff is, and all great stuff. Like I said, I just happen to be a big Z-Man guy. And let's see, one other thing I wanted to kind of talk about and show. So I've been working on developing some custom tungsten baits for either bluegill fishing, crappie fishing, for fishing these plastics. I love the shad style baits that Z-Man has, but I've been working with a company to develop some really nice tungstens with good hooks, very fine wire hooks. I've got some sizes ranging from, I think, 3/32. This happens to be, let's see, boy, the lettering. They molded the lettering or the numbers, the sizes for me on the jig heads. All right, so like this here is going to be an 1/8 ounce. It's probably the size, maybe of a 32nd ounce lead head jig with a number 2 hook. So that one there is going to be more for fishing weeds, walleye stuff, but you've got that really nice keeper on the back for keeping the crawler on or keeping the plastic on. And then I go down, these are the ones that I'm really excited about. These little guys, I think this one here is a 16th ounce, but, with a 32nd, I believe a 32nd style head. Really small, number 6 hooks. Again, very fine wire hooks, good hook keeper, and just some stuff that playing around with and looking for tungstens that are going to be good for throwing plastics over deep water for panfish, crappies, and bluegills once we kind of get into this midsummer bite. Now, these 1/8 ouncers, like I said, these will be my cane bed jigs, throwing crawlers and leeches and whatnot. They're going to make great slip bobber jigs as well. Small heads, but very heavy. Obviously, everybody knows what tungsten is, but these tiny little heads in an 1/8 ounce, these jigs are going to be great for throwing slip bobbers. So if anybody's interested, let me know. I will be getting a bunch of these guys, and pricing on them is going to be pretty reasonable. I've seen some comparable, guys are getting like $2 to $3 a piece for some of these jigs, and I'm looking at probably about $1.25, I think, is what they're going to run. So don't have final pricing. I just got some samples in, and these are the second sets that I got. I changed the hook. I moved the hook keeper or the worm keeper down a little bit further than what some of the other ones are too. That way there you don't get your crawler sliding down. It holds everything up a lot higher. So yeah, that's what I got there. Other than that, be out tomorrow and Thursday. Eli, or my son, and I are going to go see Jeff Dunham up at Green Bay. Looking forward to that. That's going to be I got a great gift from the wife. Excited to go see him. And then back on the water Friday and Saturday pre-fishing, Sunday tournament. So that's what we got going. And yeah, if you see me out there, say hi. If you have any questions on anything we're doing, please shoot me a private message or whatnot. And I hope everybody had a great Father's Day. Again, congrats to all the Otter Street guys. And that's all I know. Any questions from anybody before we wrap her up for the night? Again, please, if you're looking for a puppy or somebody's looking for a puppy, shoot me a message or text me or whatever. You can get a hold of me and we'll go from there. So thanks, everybody. And yeah, we'll talk to you here next week. I know I was trying to get Coot and Ed the diver on. He's in town staying at Coot's place this week, and I know they're going to be doing some stuff out on Bago. And if I run into him tomorrow, maybe we'll do a live or something out on the water and see what he's up to. But I think he's going up towards Nina Menasha or someplace up there tomorrow off of Kimberly Point or up by Nina Lighthouse or something. So I'll if I see him, I'll take some pictures and try and get him on one of these days too to give us a status report on what he's got going on. Good dude, and is really doing an awesome job cleaning up the waterways. And I got a couple of spots for him. I need to go have him recover a bunch of my baits. So that's what I got, boys and girls. And you guys have a wonderful evening. Good luck out fishing this week. If you get out, stay cool, stay hydrated, and we'll catch you guys on the water next week. Cheers.